Seriously, how that moment did not get scrubbed from existence is like beyond me. And then if they keep talking too much, you're ready to assault them. It's too easy. I'm really trying to avoid talking about this, but it's really so easy. Also, again, this contrast, quote unquote, doesn't really work when both of these dweebs are equally annoying. It's two coughing babies that you want to leave in a hot car. Oh wait, how could I forget the other villain of this movie? Zod. Just making sure. This is a Flash movie, and our main villain is the same Superman villain from 10 years ago, except with somehow less development and a worse performance. Michael Shannon returns, but he looks like he's ready to set himself on fire. All of the insanity we at least got out of his performance in Man of Steel is gone here. And it makes sense when Shannon later came out to say how much he regretted returning. Literally every single line sounds like he's dying to leave the recording booth. It was clearly brought on because the studio wanted to remember when you were convinced that movie was the worst they could do and other nostalgic purposes, except it's so contrived here. They even go out of their way to say that whole attack on Metropolis happened shortly after Barry initially got his powers, which just feels silly. And they don't even pay it off in the end, like no get back, no nothing. Seriously, it all feels so tacked on along with, well, the other Kryptonian in here.
I'm gonna get you out of here! I promise you, I'm gonna get you out of there! You don't belong in there!
This is still a Flash movie, I swear, I think. Okay, now I'm gonna get mad because I'm here to talk about not just the best performance of the movie, or should I say the only good one, but also how the movie proceeded to squander it almost immediately. See, this story of Supergirl is actually pretty interesting. A seemingly darker and more modern interpretation of this character compared to what we've gotten in the past, or at least with the CW show. What's more is that Sasha Calle gives us a pretty good performance. I'll still never forget seeing the video when she was asked to be Supergirl. Machete's asking her some cheeky questions about the role, like if she can fly and shit like that. He announces that she lands the role, she cries tears of joy, and I was just happy for the both of them. Was. With Machete, it's nothing personal, but after this, I don't want to see his face anymore, but more importantly, nowadays, we know that this is the only time we're going to be seeing Calle in the role. I thought they were at least onto something cast-wise, and I hoped that she'd be given another chance to really shine, but nope. The first live-action movie Supergirl in nearly 40 years, and they rush her through development, toss her in as the third main character in a movie supposedly about the Flash, or fourth main character if you want to get technical, and then unceremoniously kills her off along with Keaton's Batman. Several times. And I know that originally her and Keane were supposed to show up at the tail end of the movie instead of Clooney, but they sure as hell did not remedy that feeling after the reshoots. As soon as you see them die for the umpteenth time, turns out that one of those times is actually the last time you're going to see them. Sasha Calle, this might be DC, but you will be avenged. Oh god, bro, you about to get avenged. I mean, you'd think they'd at least have the common decency to end it on a great note, but instead we got this. Before I tear into the absolute disaster that is basically the entire last third of this movie, I'll give you all one moment I liked. This moment, right here. Yeah, that little look. Most relatable Barry's ever been. Congratulations. I'll drink to that.
Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Now time for the worst third act you've ever seen. Genuine all-timer in that regard. The CG was terrible to begin with, but it plunges to the fucking shadow realm here. This doesn't just look abysmal, this looks unfinished. No textures, no depth, no actual stakes, and it shows a complete mishandling and misunderstanding of why people were upset with Man of Steel's third act, even after a decade. The issue with Man of Steel wasn't necessarily its location, it was its handling of the damage. I know this because even with all the criticism that something like the Bayformers movies got, the final fights genuinely felt like the end-all be-all for the movie. Even the fourth movie, at the very least, got that idea down. It wasn't a good fight and butchers the pacing for nothing but mindless action in the last hour, but it was still better than this. When you have just a big fight in this desert that looks like the fucking Baron starter map in Gary's mod, and there's basically no one around for miles aside aside from our heroes and a bunch of faceless grunts on both sides, who are we supposed to care for? The heroes that also have little to no development? I'd say something like they clearly just wanted to make a Batman movie and tie that whole franchise, but it doesn't even work in that regard. The way that they do Batman and Supergirl for that matter by the end of all this proves what I've been saying all along with these cameos and returning characters. It's an extremely cheap ploy to get a bunch of nostalgia-baited nerds in the cinema, and it's fucking pathetic, and it somehow only continues to get even more so as the movie spirals downwards to the finish line. What are we even supposed to be invested in? The camera work that makes it all feel like a shitty tech demo? It doesn't work for the same reason that Speed Racers did. Not only is the emotion just non-existent, the camera work doesn't feel tangible. There's nothing dynamic or kinetic about anything here. And anytime the scene tries to get emotional or funny, it just feels so goddamn off.
Come on, Barbie. Let's go party?
It's been damn near 2 years and I still have no clue why they quoted the Barbie song. It's moments like these where the part of my mind that blinds me to the fact that what I'm watching is just comic book schlock gets turned off because just look at this image, dog. Some regular human in his late 60s wearing a bat costume in broad daylight is dying after he gets his shit pushed in by aliens. All while he's being confronted in his final moments by a dude wearing an outfit too goofy for the fucking Power Rangers. I guess Nolan and Bale really deserve more credit because even with the questionable editing choices and the damn voice, I still think that trilogy is extremely well done. After that, the movie then shows Barry learned a lesson about time travel that would have been groundbreaking had it not been for the fact that that's a lesson in basically every time travel movie and TV episode since at least Back to the Future 2, and the movie remembers that this being exists. Uh-oh, I was right. It's lame. And it's obvious that was Dark Flash. I didn't have to see any spoilers to know this is just like time travel movie like 101. I didn't think it would be what looks like a different actor, but considering that this is a Flash who's been alive and for God knows how long, it makes sense that he looked much older and unlike himself, to be fair. Still looks stupid as hell. And we start to see the damage that the Flashes have done to other universes, and heads up, there's a pretty good chance I'm actually gonna get genuinely mad talking about this. Like, fair warning, when I say that I legitimately abhor this movie, this is what I'm referring to. Ladies and gentlemen, and my NB folk them, skullduggery in its purest form. Sum up this scene, like I said, we start to see how Flash 3, I guess, is causing all these universes to collide, and we proceed to get cameos from George Reeves and Chris Reeves as Superman, Helen Slater as Supergirl, Adam West as Batman, and Nicolas Cage as the Superman that we just never got to see. Mind you, 3 out of 5 of these actors are very much deceased, and it looks like this. Where do I fucking begin? I swear I'm not exaggerating when I say that this worlds colliding shit is one of the worst movie scenes in Hollywood's history. Never have I ever seen something more desperate, more fucking vile on a screen in my life. How this managed to get past a group of adults that made millions of dollars a year while some can barely make a fucking crumb is inhumane. I do not think I can stress enough how saying that I hate this scene is the understatement of the millennium. This has genuinely made me change how I look at Warner Bros., Tom Cruise, Stephen King, and just filmmaking in general. Not only does every person in this chunk of movie look like dog shit, even the ones that are still alive, I mean, I didn't think we need to have a conversation about why putting dead actors in a movie is borderline demonic. But I guess we really have to, especially if they're not even gonna ask the estate if they can use some of them. As a matter of fact, with George Reeves, had I known his story at the time, I probably would have walked out of the movie. Helen Slater's Supergirl was unnecessary, but she's alive, so at the very least, there's a possibility that she okayed them using her CGI nightmare clone in the film. Okay, kind of innocent for now. But even by that same token, according to Nicolas Cage, what we see here isn't even what he filmed. Apparently what started as an intriguing return to a take on Superman that famously never was, ended up being another exhibition of the Slot Machine 2000, leaving Cage and Burton extremely unhappy about it. I don't even like Tim Burton, but I can't blame him for being upset. His vision of Superman was tossed in because WB desperately needed a bunch of dweebs to point at the screen and soy face. And you wanna know what's worse? It worked on my audience. People were clapping when they revealed Christopher Reeves. Yo, no. Enjoy what you enjoy. Hell, even enjoy this movie if you want. I really don't care. But I draw the line here. If you can't see what's wrong with this, change your ways. Do some self-reflection, please. You are not in the right here, and it is not an opinion you can just have. What especially grinds my gears about this, especially, was the fact that they really could have gotten creative if they wanted to. Regarding George Reeves, what you can do is take him out, and you take whoever suggested that he should be in the movie and execute them Dr. Evil style. When it comes to Christopher Reeve, they literally could have just used Brandon Routh. Not only has he played Superman in both movies and TV, he's supposed to be the same one as Christopher Reeves. Had you used him, no one would have said anything. With Helen Slater, again, that one's up in the air, but even so, you could have just used Melissa Benoist as Supergirl. Probably the simplest and most obvious fix there. With Adam West, if you had any guts, you could have done the inverse to what Across the Spider-Verse did, and add an animated version of Batman. Then again, your movie already looks like a shitty cartoon, so maybe not in your best interest to remind people of an actually good cartoon. And with Nicolas Cage, use what y'all apparently filmed and toss out this weird spider shit y'all added at some point. I really tried to give Muschietti the benefit of the doubt here and say, oh, maybe he was just forced to put this scene in. But then you have him confidently talking about this like it's a good thing. Just the idea that they apparently had total control with these cameos, as if they're like Hot Wheels in a carrying case and not humans that lived actual lives, is just so disgusting. And you want to know what's arguably the worst part about it all? The moment where it just becomes completely irredeemable no matter what moral hang-ups you may or may not have? None of it matters. The movie forgets about this almost immediately. It has no bearing on the story, no relevance, it's just dressing. They just committed digital grave robbery and don't even have the wherewithal to make it matter. Mind you, Grant Gustin, the guy who played the Flash for 10 fucking years, hell, even John Wesley Shipp, the guy that played him in the 90s in the show, nah, we need to do twin pedophiles and dead actors. Fuck this movie, fuck WB, fuck Zaslav, fuck the invention of CG, fuck Jimmy Johns, and fuck this thing to goddamn break. My little pet theory, honestly, is that this scene right here is the straw that broke the camel's back, because I remember the actor strike started weeks after this dropped. I can only imagine what it was like to see an enormous studio like Warner Bros. Greenlight this and support it so openly, or to have the audience that they might have seen it with light up because of shabby nostalgia. Resurrecting dead actors so you can make the audience clap like mindless seals honestly seems pretty insulting to me, and the idea of it just getting worse and worse was probably a bigger incentive to mobilize. I can safely say a year removed from the release and we're only getting worse, but that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. Just know that I'm very much anti-AI generated anything, and calling yourself an AI artist is not just pathetic, but it is honestly insulting to anyone who actually puts their time and effort into this shit. You are not an artist. You are someone who kind of knew what to tell some soulless AI software what to make, and it gave you slop that tried but failed to properly replicate that human touch that makes art worthwhile. And that's all I'll say about that, because again, this video is not about that. Please go ahead and watch Drew Gooden's video if you want one about that. It's really great. Instead, my review is about a film that just tries to bullshit you over and over and over again, right down to its message of letting go. The whole theme of letting go in this movie could not be more ironic. We have an entire movie about not living in the past and learning to heal or evolve from our mistakes and traumas, as we see Barry fixating on proving his father's innocence throughout the first chunk of the movie, much to his peers' dismay and disappointment. But hey, I mean, just because Barry needs to let go, I guess it doesn't mean Warner needs to, so why not keep referencing and bringing in the past, even if that means you have to resurrect dead actors to do so. To make matters even worse, it turns out that Barry being stuck in the past resulted in him actually winning the day, even though it completely goes against the rules and stakes that the universe sets up. And this is after what was easily the best scene of the movie, when Barry goes to say goodbye to his mother. It's a genuinely heartfelt scene, and one that showcases that Ezra Miller is a good actor when given the right material, and also when they want to give a shit. It's a poignant moment that the show also got down in its first season finale. Barry spent so much time trying to save his mother, but for the sake of the universe and him as a person, he had to let it happen, leading to a tragic moment that ultimately the series sticks with. Even when they kind of backtrack on it in the following season finale, they proceed to show what a horrible mistake Barry made and have him undo it. And even him undoing it still has negative consequences. However, in the movie, meanwhile, they have Barry think of something on their way out, and it leads to their father being proven innocent. So let me get this straight. We just sat through 2 hours of some of the ugliest shit you'll ever see with your own eyes about how you need to let go and not tamper with time in any way, shape, or form, only to have Barry partially learn that lesson and still tamper with time. Gutless fucking movie, I swear. Just a hand-holding, coddling experience that doesn't treat you like an adult human being with valuable time on their hands. The goofy, corny fucking CW show managed to outclass you. Now I see why Grant Gustin wasn't invited back. Then you'd be reminding people of infinitely better Flash media. At least for the first 2 seasons. The 3rd season to end, and the 4th one it doesn't really seem like the seasons get any better, so yeah.
I can fix things. You can also destroy everything.
Yeah, but counterpoint, Bruce. What if it does happen to work out for me, huh? What then? Checkmate. And I know what you're probably saying, well, in this universe, he has a different Batman. So? I mean, I'll give you credit, this got me good. And Barry asking who the fuck he was also kind of got me good. Then I realized what it replaced, and I got upset again. Like, this was definitely part of what they reshot if the everything about it didn't already tip that off. Especially because Clooney's lines barely match up to what Barry's saying. Plus, there's BTS footage as well as stuff in the trailers that was obviously shot in front of the courtroom. It also looks green screen to Kingdom Come, but that's just the movie in general. They just kind of plopped this moment over what was supposed to be a somewhat exciting scene teasing the new adventures of Barry, Kara, and Keaton's Bruce, along with presumably new faces in other Justice League roles. But instead, throw in Clooney as a meta gag, Ezra's tooth falling out, and call it a day. And show that they aren't anywhere near close to beating the too hung up on the past allegations either. Anyway, the credits roll, Aquaman drowns in the puddle from alcohol poisoning. I consider paying a visit to Zaslav in the boys' office. And his $200 million movie makes $300 million. Oh, god damn, dude. Oh, shit.
I can't eat! I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke!
I want to make this clear. I don't like wishing or cheering for a movie's downfall. Normally, if I see a movie that I review negatively bombed with critics or in the box office, I just give it one of these and go about my business because, well, 9 times out of 10 it makes you look like a complete fucking knob. Like, hard work goes into, basically, every single movie. No matter how much that might not be obvious in the final product. With that said though, I could not be happier that y'all told these fucking ghouls that y'all weren't having it. Again, I know the odds are basically stacked against this movie by the time it dropped, but to see this crash and burn financially was dangerously satisfying for me. Y'all took a look at this, and I mean all the offense when I say this by the way. Y'all took a look at this cynical, desperate, pathetic, shallow cash grab led by an alleged pedophile and said, nope. I wish you did that for more movies, but baby steps. With that said though, not to rain on anyone's parade here, but the plan is still for Muschietti to direct the next Batman movie on the Brave and Bold era. And I cannot stress this enough. They need to get that fucking fool out of the director's chair. As if fumbling The Flash wasn't bad enough. Blaming it on women and people not knowing The Flash as if there wasn't a super popular show that ran on for 9 fucking seasons shows that this man, with all due respect, is wildly obtuse. By the way, this is not to be confused with the Reeves movies or the Joker movies. This is totally different. Glad they're not making this shit confusing. I guess WB really only paid attention to the mostly positive critical reception for this one, because normally with a bomb like this, you're putting director jail. Honestly, it makes this whole entire endeavor from WB even more embarrassing, because really, the entire existence of this movie ended up being kinda damn near pointless. If it succeeded, it wouldn't matter because this universe is over, and this is the last time we're gonna be seeing these guys. If it failed, it wouldn't matter for basically the exact same reasons. Plus, with how this shit rolls narratively, it makes the entire message of this movie ring completely hollow. A pointless movie that feels like it was born to exist in a vacuum. Nothing about it matters unless we're talking about the damage creatively it caused and could cause for decades to come. As for what else is next with DC, well, it's nothing but this universe, that's for damn sure. But apparently that was kind of always supposed to be the plan, kind of. The Flash was always supposed to be this big reset for the DCEU that recasts all the roles and gives the audiences fresh new faces and new stories. I think once it's set in that the universe was really grist, they decided to do a bit of a piss take. As I record this, they have released a new trailer for the first chapter in this new saga, Superman. And they have their slate ready to go, but I'll be damned if I can tell you what it is. In fact, last year was like extremely dead for superhero movies if we're looking at the big two. Nothing from DC aside from Joker 2 and the only one film from the MCU. And it's not even one that exists in the normal canon. It's a Deadpool movie, which is crazy to think about, especially how I'm feeling about it. Like at this point, if it ain't Beyond the Spider-Verse or a hypothetical Black Panther 3 from Coogler, you can keep it. I never thought I'd be disinterested in superhero movies, but I guess this is just me growing out of it. And I mean, it happens. You know, sometimes you just grow out of things that you probably thought were like the coolest things ever as a teen. It happens. Which, I mean, it happens. How did these get on my face again? How did this outfit get on me? How does this keep